Hi, welcome to the latest IDG and Drivers Benefits webinar. This one is on issues that involve immigration and concerns with immigration and how that relates to dealing with benefits that people need during this COVID-19 crisis. I'm Andrew Greenblatt. I'm the Executive Director of IDG Benefits Fund. We're the people who bring you drivers benefits. And so, welcome to the presentation. We have with us Nick Gulotta. He is with New York City's, I'm sorry, Nick, I have to ask you to introduce yourself.
Sure, absolutely, not a problem.
Nick, we'll be talking to Nick today about issues particularly pertaining to different kinds of benefits available to everybody in New York City, but how that might impact different people based on your immigration status. So Nick, thank you very much for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you, Andrew. And just to introduce myself, my name is Nick Gulotta, and I'm the Director of Outreach and Organizing for the Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs here in New York City. And it's such a pleasure to be with you. This is a really important topic. And, just to recognize, first of all, I just want to say, Andrew said something when we were talking before this, which is so true, that drivers are really in so many ways, the backbone of the city. And for a lot of immigrant New Yorkers, this is the, this is the job many of our families and ourselves have when we first come to New York. We're 3.1 million immigrant New Yorkers. That's 37% of our total population. So if you think about how many drivers are out there, and especially at this critical time during COVID-19, we're really holding up the city, for all of us, for all 8.5 million New Yorkers. It's incredible. So happy to join you and to go through the presentation today.
Nick, you even told me you had a personal connection to an immigrant driver. Can you share that?
My father, that's right. My father was a driver, and I have to say this is it was true before COVID-19, and it's true now. I think drivers are really supporting everything from food distribution to getting New Yorkers and frontline workers to where they need to go every single day. We're really blessed to live in a city that has so many drivers and immigrant New Yorkers and others who are doing this work each day to support our community.
Exactly. Well, thanks, Nick. Let me get out of your way then. I know you have a lot to talk about, and I'll come back in at the end, or I may interrupt you once or twice during it if I need something cleared up, but then I'll come back with some questions at the end. Thanks again, Nick.
Okay. Sure thing. All right, so I'm going to share my screen and start this presentation. And so just by way of introduction, the Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs in New York City works to promote the well-being and all immigrant communities so that we can thrive, we can contribute civically, economically to this city. And so our work right now, especially at this moment during COVID-19, is to make sure we're getting accurate information about services available to all New Yorkers, really regardless of immigration status, and making sure we're getting that information to our communities. COVID-19, I just want to say from the very beginning, I wouldn't be responsive, I think, to the moment we're in if I didn't say, if you don't need to go out, please stay home. Obviously, we want to make sure people are getting accurate news and can get updates. So I want to ask folks to text COVID to 692 to get updates from New York City government, or go to nyc.gov/coronavirus for the latest. Anyone, I think, and this will be a reoccurring theme as we talk about benefits, anyone who is feeling symptomatic and needs to speak to a doctor, who doesn't have a doctor, this number here on the screen, and it's 844-692-4692, or if you call 311 and ask for a healthcare provider, can be connected directly to a doctor, and that's regardless of immigration status or ability to pay. So really want to say upfront, for anybody who needs a doctor, they can get one through calling 311 or calling this line directly to our Health and Hospitals agency, and that's regardless of immigration status, to speak to somebody about COVID-19. In addition, I just want to quickly mention that testing is available at over 100 sites in New York City. It is free, whether you have insurance or not. You will not be charged for testing. This is available to all New Yorkers, regardless of your immigration status. There's absolutely no immigration concern about getting tested at any of these sites. And you can go to nyc.gov/COVID testing sites for an updated list of community testing sites in all 5 boroughs. Also, CityMD offers these sites on a walk-in basis, 7 days a week. You can go to their website, and I believe the presentation I'm using will be posted later, so you can click on the links as well. But really want to encourage folks to get tested and to be rest assured that regardless of your ability to pay, because this is free, or any immigration concerns, everybody can get tested. Now, I know there are so many concerns right now in our immigrant communities about COVID-19, about seeking care and what that means, you know, for folks' immigration plans. And a lot of this comes from what's called the public charge rule. And now back in August of 2019, the Trump administration took what was a little known rule in immigration law, the public charge test, and published a new rule saying that certain benefits can be used against you when you're applying for a green card. Okay, so this rule went into effect. And because of that, there's a lot of concerns right now amongst immigrant New Yorkers about seeking care. I want to say unequivocally, you know, and the USCIS has, United States Citizenship and Immigration Services has also stated that the public charge test will not be used for anybody who's seeking treatment for any sort of COVID-19 symptoms. This is a public health crisis, and anybody who goes to a hospital or goes to a clinic because of COVID-19 symptoms does not need to worry about how this will impact their immigration status. So any public hospital, you will not be asked your immigration status, and if you receive care in any way related to to COVID-19, the public charge test will not apply. Okay. I think it's important to also mention that the public charge test only applies for people who are applying for or applying for a green card, and does not in any way impact people who are applying for citizenship who have green cards already. Okay, so if you have a green card, if you're applying for citizenship, additionally, you should have no fear. You should seek care without any sort of fear or concern. The public charge test is not for people who are applying for citizenship. And at this moment, no matter what your immigration status is, you can seek care without fear from any New York City Health and Hospitals institution. And USCIS has said unequivocally that seeking care will not negatively impact the outcome for anybody applying for a green card. Okay. Further, I'll just say that you know, it's really important that folks do remember that you can seek care in New York City regardless of your ability to pay around COVID. So if you do not have health insurance currently, if you're not enrolled, or if you have family members who are not covered, they can seek care for COVID-19 symptoms, and it will not impact any sort of immigration concerns. Okay. One program I'm just gonna make sure everybody knows about, and then we'll continue to talk about sort of individual benefits and considerations around public charge. This is connected in a lot of ways in our immigrant communities to seeking care. Many of us live in crowded apartments in New York City. We have family members, we have multi-generational households, grandparents living with us. And I do want to say, especially for any drivers out there, if you are starting to feel symptomatic and you have, or family members who are working each day and coming home, there is a temporary hotel accommodation program that you are likely eligible for if you begin to feel sick or a family member does. And the city will pay for your stay in a hotel. So I think this is really complementary to seeking care. And it's important that folks who are not able to self-isolate at home take advantage of this. Again, this is available regardless of immigration status. You will not be asked about your immigration status. It is completely free, and you do not need health insurance to take advantage of it. So anybody who wants to qualify for a free hotel room to self-isolate, anybody whose family members might want to, or if you need to isolate away from them in order to prevent you or a loved one from getting sick, you can call 1-844-NYC for NYC. That's 1-844-692-4692, and just press 0. You can also go to nyc.gov/COVID hotels. Many community healthcare clinics will set up a screening with you, or you can call that number, speak to a doctor, and they can essentially prescribe this for you if you need it, if you're unable to self-isolate at home. It's an honor system, so really I want to encourage people to take advantage of this free resource from the city if we're living in crowded apartments. And again, there is no immigration concerns surrounding this program. Now, broadly speaking, I do want to say that I know there's a lot of concerns from folks who are applying for a green card about taking any sort of public benefits. And so this could mean you are an asylee, in which case public charge does not apply to you. This could mean you are applying for a green card and you want to see if you qualify for a certain benefit, any sort of public assistance, whether it's SNAP or cash assistance. If you have any questions about whether you are eligible for a benefit or whether any sort of benefit would trigger a negative immigration consequence, I want to share with all of the drivers that ActionNYC is a free, safe immigration legal help resource provided by the City of New York. Okay, ActionNYC is a hotline, and so when you call it, you can speak to somebody who can immediately tell you, in most cases, if something will trigger a negative immigration consequence for you. Public charge is complicated, understandably so, in fact, intentionally so, in order to essentially scare people from using public benefits. But it's important to make these decisions, especially at a time like this when we're really struggling economically across the city, so many families, to make these decisions based off of facts. And you can speak to a lawyer who can give you immigration legal help, can talk through your individualized case. Everyone's immigration story is different. So I want to encourage everybody to call 311 and say ActionNYC, and you can be connected directly to this hotline, or you can call the hotline directly at 1-800-354-0365. And this is for New York City residents. The state also has a hotline for anybody living outside of the city, which is the New Americans hotline, and you can also be connected by calling this number. You can be transferred. So I really want to encourage people to call ActionNYC if you're unsure whether you should apply for a benefit or not because you're worried about their immigration consequences. This is such a great resource. It's free and convenient. It's open from Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. And you can just call 311 and say ActionNYC.
Hey, Nick, if I could just jump in here for a second. What if a driver has a question not about themselves, but family members who either they've brought over to America or they're thinking about bringing to America? Would the hotline help them answer those kind of questions as well?
Absolutely. And so if, you know, everybody's immigration story, everybody's immigration case is unique. So giving sort of boilerplate, you know, broad advice can be counterproductive sometimes. That's why it's really important to be able to, for everyone to be able to call ActionNYC, get that legal screening, talk to them about your family members. I will say that utilization of public benefits is really only counted for the person who's utilizing them. So if you already have a green card and you yourself are applying for a benefit, it would not impact a loved one. But that's, I really want to encourage everyone to address their unique situations to ActionNYC and speak with you know, a legal representative who can help you navigate whether you're both eligible or whether there would be any immigration consequences for using a public benefit. Yeah, and you know, there's so many exceptions. I would just, you know, further build on that to say that, again, like I mentioned, refugees, asylees, anybody who already has a green card, anybody on a U and T visa are exempt from the public charge rule. So it's really actually a small number of people who it would apply to. It's not most. It's very, very few immigrant New Yorkers who would actually be eligible for a public benefit and then be able to utilize it, and then would have to face any sort of negative impacts. So I really want to encourage everybody, number one, to seek care without fear when it comes to health, and then through any benefits, whether they're cash benefits, anything that you might be considering, to call ActionNYC, it's completely free, and speak to a legal representative who can offer you assistance and answer any questions that you have. So I know that the ActionNYC number 1-800-354-0365 will also be posted after this video, but really want to encourage folks to take advantage of that. I'll just mention a few other services right now being offered by the city that I think are important, especially in our immigrant communities, for people to take advantage of. And again, I'll mention if there's any sort of concerns or questions around eligibility based off of immigration status or consequence. First of all, I do want to encourage everybody at this moment to take advantage of NYC Well, particularly when it comes to mental health. This is really important. 1 in 5 of us struggle with mental health questions, concerns, challenges at different times. That was before COVID-19, and then especially in our driver community, there's so many folks who are just under an enormous amount of stress. So in 200 languages, this service is available. You can call NYC Well to talk about any issues you may be experiencing emotionally, any stress that you're dealing with. It's really important that folks are able to get services for this. So NYC Well is a great resource, and again, it is free. Regardless of immigration status, you can take advantage of it. And whether it's around crisis counseling, whether it's around depression or any sort of stress, I've used it. I know family members who have used it, friends and colleagues. It is a very useful resource for all of our communities at this time. So as we're experiencing stress from the COVID-19 crisis, to take advantage of NYC Well, you can call, you can text, you can chat online, and it is free. And the details are here, but you can go to nyc.gov/NYC-Well or text well to 65173. I also want to just go over basic, how folks can apply for benefits. I know many of us are used to going in person to, maybe it's Northern Boulevard in Queens, or other sort of HRA centers. With the COVID crisis, if you're applying for any sort of public assistance, whether it is cash assistance, a one-shot deal to help deal with rent, or SNAP, any sort of public assistance right now, you can do it from the Access HRA mobile app, as well as through their website, the Human Resources Administration's website. I will say that this is an amazing tool to screen you to see what benefits you are eligible for. There may be things you didn't even know you were eligible for that can help at this difficult time. So I really want to encourage everybody to use the Access HRA mobile app to understand whether they're eligible for public assistance. Some immigration restrictions can apply. Most of the time, if you're eligible for a benefit, it will not be actually used. It cannot be used against you because it means that you are not subject to the public charge rule. But broadly speaking, for our driver community, I want to make sure folks know where to go to the Access HRA mobile app or online. Just type in Access HRA, and there's an info line as well you can call, which is 718-557-1399. And again, most folks, you have work authorization, maybe you have a green card, you've had it for several years. This process was really straightforward, and there isn't an immigration concern for you. And if you do have any questions when you're applying, easily call ActionNYC and speak to somebody who can answer your questions. I know this is information that's available in other parts on the IDG Benefits Fund website, so I'll just quickly go over this about right now, and our drivers are playing a critical role in this in New York City. We're providing about 1 million meals a day to New Yorkers, so nobody goes hungry. There's 500 meal sites, hubs across the city, and as well as delivery that's taking place. And our TLC drivers are really you know, doing an amazing job. And I just want to say thank you to any of the drivers who are listening or participating in this program. If anybody wants to take advantage of it to have meals delivered to their home, it's completely free, available regardless of immigration status. There's no public charge implications whatsoever. You can take advantage of it. You can go to nyc.gov/getfood or call 311 and say get food. And you can, you know, potentially, if this is your only option, be eligible for a month of groceries delivered and meals delivered to your home. So it's an incredible program. I also want to say to anybody who's participated as a driver, if you're having any hiccups, you know, related to the program whatsoever, you want to provide any feedback to make it stronger, better, there's a link down here, nyc.gov/getfoodhelp, where you can get help for anything you're experiencing as a driver through this program. So really want to encourage people to provide that feedback to make the program even stronger. And if you have, and I think this will apply to many people who are listening, I'll just say you can sign up to deliver meals at nyc.gov/deliverytlc. Drivers can earn $53 per delivery route. There are 6, I believe, addresses per delivery route, and you can do multiple routes in a day. So it's a way to make some money as well as help New Yorkers in need at this difficult time. And the last thing I'll just say, just a quick pitch. I want to encourage all of our drivers. It's especially important for our immigrant communities to fill out the census to make sure that we get what's owed to us as a city. You can fill this out. It takes just a minute or two at my2020census.gov. This is how we get more money for our hospitals, our schools, our public programs, even our public benefits allocation and funding. A lot of this is determined by the census. So I want to encourage folks as they're either staying home or even if they're working on the front lines of this crisis to fill out the census as well. So that can be done at my2020census.gov. And finally, I'll just say just sort of further resources, and I know we'll talk about other things right after this, is that the Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs has an immigrant resource guide where you can go that's meant to be as simple as possible. If you've got additional questions about public charge, about immigration benefits, about USCIS, you can go to our website. It's nyc.gov/immigrants. We have the immigration resource guide on the front page, or the direct link is here. We also have a Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs hotline that you can call to ask any individual questions about immigration status or any updates around city services. And finally, there's an email address that you can email as well, and we'll do our best to get you a response as quickly as possible. And so I hope this presentation was useful. These are a few city services, and broadly, I want to just make sure everybody remembers public charge does not impact anybody applying for citizenship, anybody who has a green card. You should seek care without fear. Seeking care for COVID-19 will not jeopardize in any way your ability to get a green card. If you are applying, you should seek care without fear.
That's great. Thank you very much, Nick. So Nick, if I could just take a moment to build out on a couple of things you said, and then I have a couple of things for you. So the first is I did want all drivers to know that our benefits that are available to drivers also don't impact the public charge issues in any way. So if you need to talk to a doctor, we have free telemedicine for all drivers. That includes mental health issues. So if you have any kinds of issues involving stress and coping with what's going on, you can reach out to us and we will connect you, and you can have as many sessions with a professional therapist as you need for free. Also, the Independent Drivers Guild has their own mental wellness program, which has one-on-one counseling as well. Before COVID-19, that was face-to-face, but they continue to do that through telemedicine, and they continue to do things like group circles where drivers can get together and talk about problems together, and now they're just doing it online. So so all that is available, and none of that impacts any of this public charge stuff. So please take advantage of everything you see on this website without any fear. Nick, I did want to thank you again. That was great. That was exactly what we needed. Really appreciate it. I wanted to just take one moment to flesh out the idea you had about calling Action NYC and how everybody's situation is different. So we were able to paint kind of broad strokes. Like in general, if you have a green card, these issues shouldn't impact you. You should go and take advantage of everything that is available to get through this time of crisis. But someone's going to have that, yeah, but my spouse doesn't have their green card yet, or I'm worried about this, or I applied for that, or what about the character interview, and they're going to ask me where all my support comes from. Is that going to impact this? Everybody's case is different, and New York City has this wonderful hotline. It is something that your taxes have been paying for. Now is the time for you to take advantage of it. Don't hesitate. It's as simple as calling 311 and asking for Action NYC. Somebody will either pick up the phone or they'll take a message and get back to you. Nick was saying before we got on that 90% of the time, that first phone call answers the question. There's some kind of broad stroke things that they see over and over again, and they can tell you exactly what you need to know about 90% of the time right there. The other 10% of the time, people are in complicated situations, and Action NYC isn't going to just drop the ball and wish you luck. They're going to connect you with an attorney or somebody else who has the level of knowledge that they need to answer your complicated question, and they're going to stay with you and work through the process over however many days it takes until you get the answers you need. All of that is free. It is all individual. The city is here for you. Please take advantage of those things. And Nick, you mentioned there's a statewide, so our drivers actually do come from all over the state. So we invited you to represent the city, and we won't ask you questions too much about what the state provides. But you did say that if people did call that 800 number, we'll actually post the state 800 number. But for our drivers who live outside the 5 boroughs of New York, they also can get access to a similar hotline. Is that what you were saying?
That's right. Yeah, and I can give the number also. It's so for drivers, who might live in Westchester or in Long Island.
We have drivers as far as Buffalo, all over the state. Fredonia, we've got all over the state.
And so and a lot of us, I would say, this is one of those things where I always think about New York City first as a New Yorker, but I know there's so many people who might move out of the city, might move back to the city, so not an issue at all. The New Americans hotline provided through New York State is 1-800-566-7636. That's 1-800-566-7636. And the New Americans hotline can provide a very similar service. Both of them are staffed in the same building, really right next to each other. So,
oh, really? That's great.
So it's, for New York City residents, call Action NYC, and we can help you. And like you said, and I couldn't have said it any better. This is free. This is confidential. You can speak to a real person really right away. It's also available in 200 languages through Language Line. And so if you, for a number of languages, for Spanish and Chinese, you can speak to somebody there. In-house, for other languages, they have Language Line can help out. But it's a really convenient and important service for all New Yorkers who have any questions about public charge to take advantage of.
That's great. Well, thank you very much, Nick. Is there anything else you wanted to sum up with?
I think one or two questions I know that a lot of drivers have had, and your team has flagged for me, about as it relates to public charge, unemployment benefits. I know this is something that a lot of people have questions about. I do want to just state, because I think it'll be useful for folks who are listening, that unemployment benefits are considered an earned benefit. It is not something that's going to trigger public charge. So again, you should apply for your unemployment benefits without any fear that it will impact your ability to, in the future, get a green card. Similarly, the stimulus check is something that you have paid for in your taxes already. And so this is not something you should worry about. But again, I just want to reemphasize that these are these are decisions that people should make, important decisions that people should make when it comes to accessing public benefits. being informed. And we shouldn't let fear dictate, the ability to put food on the table. And we should really, at this time, if we have any questions, just get them answered by ActionNYC, seek free legal help. I think at this moment, especially when so many people their bottom line is really being impacted, it's important to take advantage of all these services that we talked about today.
Um, One thing that we've heard about is some drivers were out of the country when this hit and are having trouble getting back. And there's a 180-day thing that shifts us. Can you talk about that a little bit? What happens at 180 days?
So one of the requirements when you have a green card is that you can't leave the country for more than 6 months, about 180 days, and so that's one of the conditions that you sort of forfeit your permanent residency. And so the USCIS right now is closed for sort of in-person appointments. They've offered a limited amount of guidance around this. So, I think it's sort of to be announced on exactly what they'll require from everybody, but the broad guidance, and this is a perfect thing for family members, for example, to call ActionNYC about, to speak to, individualized case. But I think folks will be required to sort of show documentation that they were unable to return to the country.
Okay.
But again, this is something people should speak to their immigration lawyers about. And if you don't have a lawyer already, if you're looking for advice, you can be paired with one through ActionNYC for free. So as you mentioned, actually, it's I think really relevant and important for folks who are in this situation. You can ask public charge questions about benefits utilization, how it will impact your immigration status to ActionNYC, but also if you have other sort of immigration legal service questions, if you need to speak to a lawyer, what will happen is they can schedule an appointment for you in the near future. They can do it over video. These appointments are with attorneys who are working out of community-based organizations the city is supporting. So they have the language capacity and cultural competency. Many of these organizations are organizations that support our communities. So and when there is no COVID crisis, community organizations. So these are lawyers who have lots of experience working across communities, and it's not, you don't have to go into a government office
Gotcha.
to have questions answered for you. But if you do need an appointment to discuss, sort of next steps, what you should be mindful of and careful of if you're in that situation, I would recommend calling ActionNYC.
That's a recurring theme for this. Thank you, Nick. Yes. So if you have any questions, so thank you, drivers, for coming and joining us in this video. So if you're in New York City and you have any questions, call ActionNYC. And if you're in the rest of the state, call the state hotline. Well, thank you very much, Nick. We really appreciate you taking this time and helping our immigrant drivers.
Thank you, Andrew.